2018, government commenced the construction of 10 multi-purpose youth resource centers across the country that were to be completed in 9 months. 5 years on, the project have been abandoned and left to rot. Joy Sports brings you a special report from each of those facilities, starting with the Azumah Nelson Youth Resource Center at Kaneshie.
This is the Azumah Nelson Sports Youth Resource Center, named after legendary Ghanaian boxer Azumah Nelson. The facility was supposed to serve as a multi-purpose sports center fit enough to accommodate more than 40 different sporting disciplines when completed. Also known as the Kaneshie Sports Complex, the facility was built during the era of the Supreme Military Council and the General Achampong in the 1970s. It served as a training base for teams during AFCON 1978, which Ghana hosted and won. Since then, however, years of neglect had placed on the back burner the plans of the people running sports in the country. Various governments had made promises to upgrade the facility to its stature as a functioning multi-purpose sports center, but none had made good on their promises. But in March 2018, then Sports Minister Isaac Esiama finally commissioned renovation works to start on the facility.
We are securing the future of Ghana sports through this investment. And I can tell you, in the next 20 years, Ghanaians will remember one person called President Akufo-Addo for the huge investment he made in sports. This huge one. Across the country, we are going to do all these things. By November, you will see 10 multi-purpose youth centers. That can take off about 5,000 people. Sitting capacity 5,000. So we can even play some of the national matches. Understand? Yes, big matches. Black Queens can come and play maybe in Wa, because we're going to do one in Wa. They can go to Navrongo, go do one in Navrongo. They can go to Nehini, go do one in Nehini. So it's going to be across the country, spread across the country, so that everywhere you go, you have quality, modern sporting facility.
That was former Sports Minister Isaac Esiama in March 2018. It was supposed to be the dawn of a new era for sports infrastructure in the country. When completed, it was supposed to seat up to 5,000 people with a swimming pool and all kinds of adjoining facilities, including a running track to go with. And it was supposed to cost some $4 million and just 9 months to complete.
Each contractor has 9 months to complete the project. If we factor in the rainy season, it depends on the intensity of rain. It could go up to 11 or 12 months, not more.
But nearly 5 years later, this is the state of the project. In December of 2021, the new Sports Minister Mustafa Yusuf stated that the project was 90% complete.
If we are going to be able to identify talent in the various regions or our various communities, we can't do that without these facilities being completed. So government is committed, especially when we have already invested so much in these facilities. We can't abandon. And it's the same government. Government is continuous. And so the assurance can be getting from me. What I've realized that it was in phases. So we have phase 1, phase 2. So currently, I've engaged the consultant working on it and also the National Youth Authority, which is the agency that supervises those projects. So I can give you assurance that yes, those facilities will be completed on time, so that the identification of talent in the various regions where we have this facility, we can use those as a center. Even Azumah Nelson Sports Complex, Kaneshie Sports Complex, can also even be used during the games.
Of course.
People can go there and compete, especially on football. It's media standard. So it's something that we are working on, and to ensure that we get it done. Some of them were 90%, 70%, and 80%. There are various stages of completion.
And he wasn't wrong, because at the time, the stands were done. The pitch was done. It was looking green and lush. But barely a year later, this is the state of it. Abandoned and left to become a breeding ground for all kinds of reptiles. The Azumah Nelson Sports Complex is not befitting of the legend it's named after. In its current state, only animals can play sport here. At the time of abandonment, the project was indeed close to completion. With the VIP stand constructed and roofed, the 4 stands constructed and the seats fixed. The drainage system had also been done, and the groundwork had been prepared for the Titan track to be laid. All of that, however, has now been left to rot. The compound is bordered by walls of weeds, and the facility, in totality, has now become a breeding ground for reptiles, which have made here a happy home. Dammers and moles have eaten the white paint-coated goalpost, giving them an unpleasant look of distress. The football pitch is strangled by weeds, with the VIP stand divided by a risky pit. The renovation of the Azumah Nelson Sports Complex, also known as the Kaneshi Sports Complex, was part of government's aggressive sports infrastructural drive and is the first of 10 being constructed across the country. Government said it formed part of efforts to address the sports infrastructure deficit in Ghana. The facilities, when completed, would each house an 8-lane athletic track, a FIFA standard pitch, career counseling center, basketball and handball court, as well as a multi-purpose sports hall, a restaurant, and an ICT center. The mini stadiums would also have a seating capacity of 5,000. The most disappointing thing about this place is that it looks like it was actually this close to completion. A majority of the money had already been spent, and what was left to finish the project was only a fraction. But that fraction hasn't come. And of course the contractors departed, and the place has now degenerated into this eyesore.
Wow, that's a very sad development for this country. Now, before we even start the conversation on the sports facility, here's what you must know about the Azumah Nelson Sports Complex. Let's share with you some of the things that you need to understand about, the sports complex here. How much we know was pushed in there, how much was spent, and where we are. We understand there was $4 million. The remaining money that was to be pushed in there was $400,000. So it means that they have spent $3.6 million. Now, it's built in the era of the Supreme Military Council. That's when the sports complex was built under General Achampon. It was used as a training base for teams during AFCON in 1978, which Ghana hosted and won. So that's a bit on the Azumah Sports Complex. Now, it served as home for Hearts of Oak and Olympics in the 2007 season when Accra Sports Stadium was being renovated for AFCON 2008. Now, it also hosted international boxing bouts, including Ikote versus Clint McNeil in 2005. If you watch that particular bout, you remember. Now, it has been a recreational facility for schools and students in Accra and beyond for years. Now, secondary and primary schools make use of that sports complex. It's used by more than 50 primary and secondary schools for inter-school competitions in the Greater Accra region. Now, it was renamed Azumah Nelson Sports Complex by President Kufuor to honor the former boxer. But what is the fate of this honor than this legend? Well, there you saw it. But Muftau Nobela joins me in studio with Muftau. Very, very shocking and sad development.
Very shocking.
How did we get here?
Actually, I was at that press conference when Isaac Isiama announced that they were going to invest like $4 million into the renovation of the facility. And I've been one person who has frequented the facility since they started work on it. And I've had the privilege of speaking to the project manager, the consultant, the engineer on site, and even people at the Ministry of Youth and Sports and then the National Youth Authority. We got to a point in 2020, after 2020 elections, where the government decided they were going to change the Minister of Youth and Sports, Isaac Isiama, and bring in Mustafa Yusuf as the Minister of Youth and Sports. So when he came into office, one of the things we were told was that the National Youth Authority, the board had been dissolved because a letter was sent from the Chief of Staff to all agencies to dissolve their boards because of the elections and all that. So the person who was put in charge as the acting chief executive officer of the National Sports Authority did not have the mandate to spend more than 100,000 Ghana cedis. He needed a board to approve the monies for him to go and spend. And because there was no board, there was no investment on the facility. So this is what we have now.
I mean, from the way the facility has deteriorated too, do we know how much we now need to bring it back to where it was and to complete?
I think we will need another $4 million. In fact, I've had the privilege of speaking to people who are working on the project. And what they tell me is that if they want to start all over again, it means that we'll need to spend maybe close to $2 million for it. And even as we speak, I was made to understand that they are changing even the consultant for the facility. Because it was supposed to be done in phases, phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Phase 1 was complete. The seats, everything was fixed. We were just about wrapping it up for people to start using the place. And all of a sudden, this is what we have.
So it's under the Ministry of Youth and Sport?
It's a National Youth Authority who are investing in the facility.
Okay.
It's a National Youth Authority.
And what's the source of funding?
It's a youth authority who is funding it. If you go to their projects on their website, it's part of the stuff they're doing. 10 multi-purpose youth facilities that they are doing in the country. So the Azumah Nelson Youth Center, and it's the most expensive. $4 million. The rest were told we got them like $1.8 million, $2 million, and all that. But because of the Azumah Nelson Sports Complex, we were made to understand they wanted to have floodlights, they wanted so that they could play matches under floodlights and all that. So it was going to cost them that much. But unfortunately, this is where we are as a country.
Wow. So if anybody should take a responsibility, it should be the youth authority.
The National Youth Authority, it is their facility.
What's the minister saying about it, having looked on for this to deteriorate?
We spoke to the minister himself, and he said, he's committed to completing the facility.
Where is his commitment when this is staring at him in the face?
It's not only this one.
Yes,
we've been to Yendi, we've been to Koforidua, we've been to...
have you been to Axim? Axim? Okay, hometown.
Is it
Chumam Ponia?
We've been there. In fact, even that facilities, bushfires have cleared the grasses that were planted for us to play football on.
So if the minister tells you he's committed, did you ask him where is his commitment when the
so in the conversation that we had with the minister, and this is actually on record, in the conversation that we had with the minister, he told us that government is continuous and his office is committed to ensuring that the facilities are completed. The commitment is in word. As to whether it is in cash to ensure the facilities are completed, that is another thing to be spoken about.
Was that the interview you played in there?
Oh, yeah, that was the interview.
He seemed so relaxed and not bothered by what was happening.
That's a different matter.
Yeah, he seemed so relaxed for my liking. But for a ministry that has pumped $3.6 million into a facility to degenerate into this level, and for the minister to relax the way he was, he seemed not bothered by it. Because if you are left with $400,000 for you to complete a project, and you start aloof, watched on for this to happen, I mean, no serious person should be okay with
I remember yesterday, Gomez asked me a question, whether if there is any single sector in this country that is functioning. I shudder to say there isn't any.
Anyway, so we have the Vice President of Ghana Athletics, Charles Osei-Sibe, also joining us via Zoom with more on this. I'm grateful, sir, that you could join us here. How do you feel as someone in sport when this facility is shown to you? Okay. Interesting. We'll be joining him, but I'm sure we'll have him in our subsequent bulletins. But those of you in the sports fraternity, when you meet to discuss about this sport, what becomes your final conclusion?
The conclusion is that it appears sports is absolutely nothing that is appreciated by people who are put in charge of its governance. If you need facilities to be able to groom talents, and you decide that you're going to roll out a plan of providing sports facilities across the country for young talents. And after pumping, say, $3.6 million into it, and you allow it to get to this stage, come on, if everyone will question your commitment to ensuring that you have the future of the next generation at heart. And this is where we are, Grace.
Well, so I'm grateful to you.
Thanks.
And kudos for that. No, they say kudos for that good
kudos.
work that you've done.
Kudos.
Yeah, kudos for that good work you've done. Grateful. I'm not only sad, but I'm angry as well, seeing what has been done there. But we'll keep an eye. Waiting for that one. We'll keep an eye on that one. Now, moving on.